Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, December 9th, 2022. I think that means it's, 16 days before Christmas? 15 days before Christmas? I always mess that up. The kids always have, countdown things, but I'm like, 15 days till Christmas, but the thing has to end on a 1 the day before. I don't never know how that works. Anyway, we are getting close to Christmas. We are a little bit outside of CIM. I think that's pretty much everyone's race season is over. I guess unless you're doing Houston, you're still in peak week right now, right? So there's still some people running, but today is Thursday, so it's happy hour. And yesterday I ended the live stream thinking that I might have a beer during happy hour for today, but 2 reasons why I'm just going with some tea. And this is my 2022 Chris Kindle Market mug this year. It's curvy. It's not like some sort of weird camera thing. It's just curvy. It's all right. I like it when it's a boot. But one, we still haven't done outside Christmas decorations because we've never owned a house before. And so we don't know how any of that works. And I've been gone for a long time. So we haven't been able to figure it out. And number 2, this is not such good news. Number 2 is I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. And someone messaged me that I had lunch with after CIM. And that person said that after a couple of days, they felt sick and now are tested positive for COVID. So I have had an exposure risk, still testing negative, but my nose doesn't feel great. And I decided to take a break from running today. It's been 4 days since the potential exposure. So I feel like this is just me finally breaking down, or just overall having another cold. But in an abundance of caution, I didn't run today. I didn't get on the bike today. I'm trying to take it easy today, having some tea. So that's where we're at. So that's the story. Yeah, Eliza says, oh no, I hope you did not get it. I hope so too. But I think the more likely thing is Thursday night in Austin, TRE, was the Brooks party. I didn't know for some reason that this party was going to be outside. And it was cold and raining. And because I didn't know I was outside, I was wearing a t-shirt. And so it was 40 degrees and I'm wearing a t-shirt and drinking beers. So that was not a great idea. The lifesaver though, the reason why I wasn't instantly sick, because I usually get instantly sick, is that Ashley Mateo had a friend there, Mitch. Mitch was a lifesaver. Mitch wore a flannel and a jacket, a North Face, little fleece thing. And he's like, Mike, you should wear this. And I'm like, no, man, I don't want to check your jacket. I'm the idiot. I'll just go. I got to go home soon anyway. I'm not going to be staying out late. But he kept insisting. He kept putting it on me. So that was really nice. And that was a lifesaver because otherwise I wouldn't even be able to make it to Sacramento. I would have been so sick. But anyway, I'm here. I'm still feeling fine. Yesterday, evening when I was waiting for my home test results, I was like, oh man, I feel terrible. This is definitely it. And then as soon as it came back negative, I'm like, yeah, see, I feel fine. And this morning, I definitely feel sickish. So we'll see how it goes. I'm recently boosted. So even if I get sick, hopefully I'll be fast. I basically have this week off and then next week starts week 12 away from Tokyo. So hopefully whatever it is, it passes quickly. All right. Matthias says that bad cold flu has got my kids and wife. I'm just waiting. Yeah. The baby has had a sniffle for a real long time. And all of my older daughter's friends are missing school here and there for a couple days at a time. So I'm it's just going around. Martha says, oh no, you waited so long, 3 to 5 days incubation period with the current variants, if correct. Did you have the bivalent vaccine? I did. So that's the one I got in before Chicago. So I'm 2 months out from the booster. So I feel I'm all right. I feel confident, but it's like a raincoat. After a while, if you just stand out in the rain long enough, you will get wet. So, it was a long lunch. We were hanging out at the Tracksmith party. So, all right. Questions. Raj Kumar Rusinji says, congrats on your CM podcast where you share that you have graduate degrees. You're a more educated, faster runner, and younger. Great. Yeah. I mean, it's a graduate. It's a law degree. So people say you have a doctorate. I'm it's a Juris Doctorate. It's not a real doctorate. It's a law school degree. I didn't have to defend a thesis or anything or do any original writing or research. I did a lot of writing, not research. All right. Robert Stockflower says, no way, the first time I made it to a stream on time. Awesome. I just enjoyed the CIM video. Looking forward to a longer breakdown of the CIM weekend. All right. So here's the thing, guys. You guys let me know if it's too much. So I'm thinking I'd do a CIM video, just the race video. That was today. It's almost like a trailer for the rest of the CIM content. The next video that I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to do a detailed CIM race recap. I haven't done like a detailed race recap in a long time. So I think I'm going to do that. And the reason I'm thinking that is because a lot of people came up to me over the course of the weekend and they were like, you're the guy that made the race recap video. And I was like, that's me, I think. And so like people that aren't like YouTube watchers, people that aren't subscribers, people that don't come to the live stream were looking up stuff for CIM and there wasn't a lot. So I thought that that they thought that was helpful. So maybe I'll do a long one or maybe I won't, but I'm leaning towards doing one. And then after that will be the Sacramento content, the Runners Weekend content. And then because I raced in the Super Blast, I've got that over 100 miles. So then I'll do a 100-mile Super Blast review. So that's a lot of like stuff from one weekend. I feel like it's a lot of content. That's going to take us basically to Christmas or really close to Christmas. And then I'm like, I didn't do any year-end stuff. So, oh man, what do I do? So that's what I'm thinking. That's so far the thought. Yeah, Raj Kumar says, questions, would you use Super Blast if you did run the race again? Just making sure if this was your best shoes decision till you traveled to TRE and CIM. Did you check luggage or carry-on? Any tips? If you're doing TRE and CIM, that's a week's worth of running and being on your feet and like seeing and meeting people and stuff. If you can do that in a carry-on, good for you. I didn't. I brought 5 shoes. I should have came home with 7, but I left a pair in Austin. So like, good luck. That's the tip. I mean, it stinks to have to check bags and stuff, but I don't know how people do it otherwise, you know? So, would I choose the Super Blast again? No, but not because it's a bad shoe. I don't really need to run in. I don't usually race in a shoe twice because I test other ones. So if you look at the shoes that I ran in this year, I did Metaspeed Sky 1 for LA. I did Metaspeed Sky Plus for Grandma's. I did Takumi Sen for my 5K PR. I did Endorphin Pro 3 for Chicago, SC Elite 3 for New York, and Super Blast for Grandma's. For Boston, I will do the Adios Pro 3. So I think that hits all of them. At some point, I'll probably review the Alpha Fly 2. I don't plan on racing in that shoe, though. So that's how it is. So like asking if I'd run it in again is not the right question because I very rarely run in the same shoe twice for a race. Because once I have that race experience, this year I ran 5 marathons, and that's a lot. But most people don't, and so like that's the reason why. So yeah, was it a good marathon shoe? Yeah, I think so. I'll talk about it a lot more during the full race recap that we'll do. But yeah, so it was really good. There were times where I wished I had carbon. There was times where I'm like, this is great. And after the race, I was like, my feet have never felt so good after a marathon, except for maybe Chicago because I took that super chill. But yeah, so it's a good marathon race shoe. I think that shoe, despite like the way that ASICS promotes it, I think it likes marathon pace. So if you're running marathon pace, that's it. Perfect use case is for someone that's worried a little bit more about comfort than carbon in a race. And then also my ideal use case is 16-mile long run on the weekend, 3 miles warm up, 10 miles at marathon effort, 3 miles cool down. Super Blast. That's the shoe. Or Primex. Like those are the 2 shoes that'd be my favorite. Because then I could do that on a Sunday and I could do another hard session on Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's how I think of that shoe. All right. The caffeine in this tea is hitting me hard. It's not, I know it's not, it's what is it, theophylline? It's like, yeah, it's a different stimulant and I'm not used to it. So all of a sudden I'm very hot and very stimulated. Ooh, all right. Will Gravel says, I still got some races on the calendar. Holiday Bowl 5K in San Diego. Ooh, Martha and Luis also signed up. And Carlsbad Marathon on the same day as Houston. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah, I was debating. I still haven't booked anything. I did just submit an application to get media credentials at Houston. And so I think maybe I'll help me decide. I'm either going to go to Houston. There's also the Rose Bowl half marathon in LA. I'd like to go back to LA. again. And so I wanted to do that one last year. I don't remember. I think last year I was in Florida for that Clearwater half or something like that. So I couldn't do that one last year. So I'd just like to go run in LA a little bit more, even if it's hilly. That's all right. Jody says, I had to make the decision to defer Tokyo Marathon until 2024 as flights from Australia to Tokyo are triple what they were back in 2019 and no longer direct flights and will take at least 16 hours. That's a lot of travel. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was, oh man, that's wild. I was watching the Sweat Elite video of Ed Goddard, and he was talking about how he chose CIM over Valencia because it's easier travel to get to Sacramento. And I was like, it is? How's that possible? But I don't know. I guess if travel is kind of goofy, that could be it. But I guess distance-wise, it is closer. Because you have to go over, like, Asia, like, I guess kind of like all of Europe, Africa, to get all the way to the other side of Europe. So I don't know. But man, that's hard, Jody. Canom says, oof, everyone in my house has a cold, so I've been dodging like the parking spots, dodge drivers. Yeah, oh man, hope you stay safe. Martha wants to know who here got into Chicago. Is everyone already notified? She said she got in during the registered, during registered via Good for Age. Yeah, I have mine, I think, for Good for Age. I'm pretty sure I have a bib. I thought I did. I don't specifically remember seeing it, but I just in my mind remember having it. Yeah, I think a lot of people got notifications today. You know what's been great about today? A lot of people have been messaging me and saying they decided to try to get into the lottery because of the Chicago Marathon content that I've been putting out. And they're super excited to come to Chicago, to do the Shakeout run together and all that stuff. So I'm really excited to meet all those people. It's very flattering to be like, the World Marathon Major wasn't a draw, but the way Kofuzi shows it, now I want to do it. So that makes me feel good. So I appreciate that a lot. I can't wait to meet all the new people and see all the regulars again too. You know, it's going to be great. Will Gravel's going to be there. Let's see who else. Yeah, Will Gravel said he's going to be there. Luis is going to. Is Luis going to be there? No, or is Luis talking about the 5K? I'm not sure. But anyway, it's good. Let me know, guys, if you got into Chicago. Eliza says, about CIM, she would like a detailed race recap. New York City was inspiring and it helped me to know more about the area. Okay. All right. I'll do a little bit more of a detailed one. It's going to be a little bit, but here's the thing. Here's what I think about it. For some of you guys that watch like every video, it'll be like, oh man, this is a lot of Sacramento content. And it kind of overlaps and it might be a little bit redundant. But I think overall, some of that stuff will have longer legs. And so people won't be seeing it all sequentially. They might see it like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, like the Super Blast 100-mile review or the race recap or the Runner's Weekend. The Runner's Weekend, sometimes people don't see that for 6-8 months. You know, so that's what I like about those videos is that like they're not evergreen, but they're less disposable than the other videos that I make. So I think I'll do it. That's a good schedule. Eric did not get in. Oh no. He said probably just as well as it may be too close to Leadville in late-ish August. That'll be a quick turnaround, Eric. Because I did the 5K in early September and that felt like a really quick turnaround to get up to marathon pace again. Matt, what's going on, Matt? Matt ran with me at CIM. He says, I'm looking for that good run the tangent tutorial content. Dude, you know what? I was just watching I don't know if Dr. Josh is here. I was just watching Dr. Josh's video and he said like, people weren't running tangents. They were just kind of running in the middle of the road. Matt and I had a discussion and we had to also like loop Drew in on the discussion too. Run the course, not the road. All these roads are super wide, like 4 lanes, more sometimes across, and they would kind of meander a little bit, and everyone would kind of stay in the right lane as if they were driving in a car, and kind of like go all over. And I would look at it, I'd be like, just go straight. We could just go straight down here. Sometimes we'll be on the left side of the road, sometimes we'll be on the right, but we could just go straight and cut through all of that. We're gonna run this course. So that was like a theme for the day. So that was fun. I think I like that. I mean, I like that phrase that we came up with. So I'm going to use that in the future. Run the course, not the road. I think that will help a lot of people. And hopefully, you know what I did notice, Matt? I did notice that like looking forward, the like river of the snake of people ahead of us was always like windy, and behind us, because we were running the tangents, it was just a straight line. So I feel like we helped a lot of people out. All right. Luke Klein says, one of my friends hit the jackpot, got into both Chicago and Berlin. See, that's a fun one because when you do Berlin, you hang out for Oktoberfest, and then you're just kind of in taper mode, or just like, just sharpen up a little bit before Chicago. It's like a week or 2 weeks, right? I think is it a week this year? Sometimes it's 2 weeks, I feel like. Michael Chang wants to know, would you say there's a correlation on body weight versus foam durability? Yeah, I would say yes, but I don't say that it's linear. I'm not sure it'd be a bell curve either, or exponential. It's not logarithmic. I don't know, but it's not linear for sure. And if anything, I would say it's probably graduated. Nothing, boom, steady, boom. That's what I would say in terms of like rate of degradation over weight, if we're doing that chart. That's how I would say it, but I don't have any data on that. And I think that like the difficult thing is gait, I think, is going to have a lot of impact on it, and relative fitness. And so someone that's heavy but fit, like Drew Whitcomb, tall guy, runs as fast as I do, like he's going to, at his weight, over 200 pounds, is going to degrade a foam at a different way than someone that is his exact size and weight but doesn't run at all, right? So I feel like that's why it's hard to really chart that out accurately, because there are a lot of variables more than just foam and weight. But I would, that's my hypothesis, if that makes sense. All right, Melvin Umang says, hey, Co, got into Chicago through the lottery for the second time in a row. Awesome. So pumped. Hopefully I can break 320 so I can get that guaranteed entry for age. Already looking forward to the shakeout with a pizza emoji. I mean, we're going to have to figure something out. So I'm thinking like maybe we could, I don't know what we do. Maybe we do like the same thing, just run it back, do this. There was nothing wrong with the first one, so I'd be happy to do the same thing again. Just run straight to Lou Malnati's. Make a Lou Malnati's run. I love it. But I also think like, what would be great too is to have a run and then also later have like a meet and greet or just like hang out. There's pizza and maybe there's a panel or a podcast or an interview or something, you know what I mean? So I'm like, maybe there's two things that we could do. I'm not sure, So we'll have to see. I want to say there's plenty of time for planning, but I feel like I always say that and the next thing I know, it's like, oh man, we didn't do any planning. So what can we do in the next week? So we'll see. Louis says he also wants to do the Rose Bowl half in 2024, Co? I mean, maybe. We'll have to see. I'm not ready to look that far ahead, please. Oh, man. Kimberly Goulart says, longtime listener with a happy face emoji, says, I ran my first marathon, Valencia. Awesome. Congratulations with a 3:54. My husband and I want to know who sings Yo, What's Going On in your theme song? Is it you? Settle the debate. It's not me. I forget who I was talking to, but they were devastated that it wasn't me because I thought it was me. And so it was a never meet your heroes moment because like I could just see like the excitement drain from the face. It was I don't know. I think it might have been Connor from Running Warehouse too. You know what I mean? So I was like, it was another YouTuber that was like, wait, that's not you. Oh no, I think it might have been Ginger Runner. I don't know, Ethan Newberry. It was something like that. So it's not me. The song is by Jim Yosef, Jimyosef. I think it's called Checkered. What's funny is there's another YouTuber that uses that song, but it's his intro music. But it's a channel that's not in English. But the guy has like 300,000 subscribers, or he did. Who knows now? It was a long time ago when I started using that song. But yeah, so it's not me. You're not the only ones to ask that though. That's so funny. All right. Daz Darren 99 says, I got into Chicago. Congratulations. This one? Yeah, that's the sound I want. He says, I blame Co for applying. LOL, I'm excited. Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of people will be. So I really hope the weather's good next year and that everyone PRs. Because if it's like a hot day and everyone just loses it on the course, everyone's gonna be like, Co Fuzi, this is all your fault. Oh man, that's so funny. Let's see. Midlife Runner Series says, yo, coach, what selfie stick do you use for marathons for the GoPro? I got one that is also a tripod, but feels a little heavy for 26.2 or 13.1. I made a video. It's like 4 or 5 videos back. Like generic essentials, Kofuzi can't run without. I have a link to it in there. It's a generic. I don't like any of the GoPro accessories because I think that they're overbuilt. And I think to justify higher price points, they're overbuilt. And maybe they're built for other sports in mind where a little bit more weight for durability, maybe it could take a little bit more of a beating, is needed. But I don't like any of the GoPro accessories. So I just use a generic one. It twists, you twist it, it expands, and then you twist it back to lock it. And then when you're done, and then it becomes like a little bit longer than a ruler. So Jose Neves says, yo, co-fam, thanks to my Run Club waiver entry fee. I'll see you in Boston. Awesome. It'll be my return to Boston after 10 years. Whoa, nice. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I'm looking forward to Boston. Although now I'm like, oh man, I'm already worried that I'm going to get DQ'd from the race because I'm going to try to film it. And now that like I wasn't as nice as I could have been in the TRE video to Adidas, now I'm worried that they're going to be like, who is this guy? You know how the BAA can be. If you watch Steven Gnoz's videos, you know how the BAA could be. They're maniacal, and they just think about ways to screw over the YouTubers. So we'll see. I'll be there in Boston. I have the bib, and there's no deferral, unfortunately, because otherwise I'd defer. And just go to Boston, but not run, and then maybe run in 2024. Just because I'm going to Tokyo. I talked to New Balance. Someone at New Balance is like, you have to have a bib. I'm like, I'm not going to run. I'm running Boston and Tokyo. I'm not going to do 3 marathons in like 4 weeks. And they're like, I'm going to go. I'll go to all the events. I'll cover the race. I'll be there. I'm thinking. I'm not sure. But he was like, you have to have a bib. I'm giving you a bib. And I'm like, thank you. Maybe. So we'll see what happens in London. But that was also in evening times. And you can't really take anything that's said in evening times seriously. Not blaming anybody. But it's just a lot of things get said. All right, Matt's going to run Boston and Chicago. So I'll see you again, man. I'm going to see how you update those goals after this weekend. KSNT606 says, I got into Chicago, signed up, and forgot. That's the way to do it. Because if you're like, sign up, and like, I got to get in, then you just set yourself up for misery. Like me, every time I sign up for Berlin or London, just never works. Jason Dahl says, Carrie Binkowski should cut you at Chetco. They've never given me a hard time for having the selfie stick, so I'll call it even. Not all races are like that. Mark's going to also be running Boston. He's running New York City as well. All right, Mark, that's your triumphant return to New York. You weren't there last year, right? So it'll be good to see you again. Awesome. Oliver Michael says, I got in. Oliver from Dallas. Nice. Very cool. And KSNT 606 says, I wanted to get into New York City, but not Chicago. Well, I mean, at least you got one of the two. Rob DeGenero says, got into the New York City half. Hopefully the calf cooperates. I did sign up for the lottery for that one, but then I withdrew because I decided I can't run that one. But related to the idea of me being more professional and not spilling all the tea, I won't go into further detail on that. But all right. Yoizen says, first time Chicago ballot. Also got the entry. See you all there. Awesome. First time winner. There you go. Over the same weekend that CIM is, there's the lottery for Western States. And I was talking to, I don't know if you guys saw, he did a very brief cameo in the video because I only saw him for like a second over the weekend. Jonathan Levitt for the Long Run Pod. And we picked him up at the half marathon mark, and he came out of nowhere. I was like, "Where did you come from?" He's like, "Oh, I was just throwing up." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I can't hold anything down." He's like, "Anything I eat or drink just comes up as vomit." I'm like, "Oh boy." He's like, "It's not a good day." I'm like, "All right, man." And then he just dropped off real quick, presumably to go vomit again. But I was like, "Hey, were you just out at the Western States thing?" He's like, "Yeah, I was." He pulls the name. He was pulling names. I don't think he did it the whole time. Maybe he did, but he's pulling names out of the lottery. And I wanted to ask him, like, I wonder if anyone got in off of one ticket. Because they say you have to have, like, it takes an average of how many years to get into the Western States race. But, there are odds that you can get in on one ticket. And so, I don't know. Hella Good is going to be running Western States this year. I actually knew that before he announced it because he told me over in Austin, and I'm glad I didn't say anything because like I'm there's another reason why I don't like embargoes is because I'm bad at remembering them, and so like it's just better for me not to know stuff. And he was telling me like, yeah, he's real super excited to go to Western States, and I was like, oh man, I wish I could go. And he said that since he had the finished Leadville, that I feel like that gave him like made it okay for Hoka to give him a bib, and he's running under their like diversity initiative. So so that'll be really cool to see him out there. I want to run Western States. So this year I was going to try to run 100K, but this year because of Tokyo got moved. Last year I was going to do Tokyo, and then this year I was going to try to run Black Canyon. But then Tokyo moved, so this year's Tokyo, maybe next year's Black Canyon. Because I do really want to run that race. But maybe in 2023 I'll run a different race. So if you at least have one ticket, I at least like to have one ticket, Tracy wants to know, anyone doing the triple header in Chicago, Shamrock Shuffle, half marathon, and the marathon? Yeah, I don't think I'd do the half, but I don't know if I'll do the Shamrock Shuffle. We'll have to see. It's a fun day, but like it's so cold all the time. People don't hang out. That's the thing. But I do love getting the Shamrock Shuffle hat every year. So it's worth it for the hat, I feel like. Mark Peterson said about the tangent at CIM, he's like, I felt that way too, that everyone was just running the road and not the course. He said, I was doing my best to take tangents, and I was worried when no one else around me was. There was a time where like we were doing our thing. We were running the tangents, and there was one point where the road curled to the right, and so I just went right at the apex of that turn. And there was a guy not in our group, but who had been kind of like running with us, that I was like shoulder to shoulder with, and I wanted to be like, let's run the tangent. He eventually figured it out, but it took a minute. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Why is no one running the tangents at this race? LA is the same way. LA is very much the same way because it's like super wide street. Most other cities would give you half the space. And so like it wouldn't matter that much, or the way people were running it would be the way that you would run it with that many people. But CIM, they just give you so much space. You can really hang yourself, with that much rope kind of thing. Tony says, same thing in Boston. Hardly anyone runs the tangents. It's driving me crazy. Well, Tony, from LA. You've seen LA. But I was thinking about it, and it's just like you'll see a race, and I think it's something that comes up in Boston a lot. I think it does come up in the like when you watch the Boston race, the announcers are always like, I don't know what those Kenyans are doing. They must not understand tangents. And then like Des Linden is running tangents. I mean, like, see what Des does, and then they're like, look at these Africans. But it's just like I think that they're just like they're. My guess is that maybe the truck that they're following is driving the road, and they're just following the truck. That would be my guess. That's my guess. Scott says, I ran 26.33 at CIM. Yeah. I looked at Dr. Josh's video today. He ran like a 26.28 or something like that. I'm like, how the heck did he run so efficiently? And what watch is he using that had it so spot on? Like I didn't even understand that. That didn't make sense to me. Mine was like 26.5, a little bit a little bit longer than what my New York marathon was, just by like a couple hundredths, if not like one or two. So, yeah. And I felt like I did a good job of running tangents. Martha says, I ran some of those tangents too, but I still arrived at the relay exchange with 13.6 instead of the 13.4. Still just 2:01. Nice. Nice work, Martha. Bernard Alcohol wants to know, it's wild how narrow New York City is at certain points. Is that normal for other races? That is normal. But the thing is that with New York, it gets narrow at certain points because after a while, the crowd just keeps encroaching more and more and more. And so like some of those roads, which aren't that wide, they're like one-way streets. They aren't that wide. They just get even narrower. But I like that about New York. It just gives, there's just so much intimacy in a giant race, which is a really weird kind of juxtaposition, you know? So I think it's great. But at like LA, at CIM, it really like messes with you. Otto says, bad year with lotteries for me. Didn't make it for Tokyo, London, Berlin, or Chicago. Oh boy, 0 for 4. I can always rely on the good old NYC 9+1. There you go. Well, I'll see you in New York. Adam says, I always run the tangents. Adam, that doesn't help any of us though, because you're ahead of all of us. So none of us can follow you. You have to slow down and let us know which way you went so that we can follow you better. Frank says, I have to say about the CIM footage, it doesn't look like an appealing route. Boring neighborhoods, liquor stores, etc. I'd say you're right. But you don't go for the neighborhood. So I feel like people are like, what do you like more, like CIM or Grandma's? I pick they're almost the identical race, but I pick Grandma's because the scenery is really nice. And it's a little bit more, there's not as much uphill. So it's very similar, but it feels like a net downhill race where CIM does not feel like a net downhill race to me. CIM feels like it's rollers the first half and flat the second, basically. But yeah, there's crowd support, but it's not like a world marathon major, right? It's not even like LA. It's probably similar to Indy, maybe a little bit less. Just because it's a point to point. And Indy is at least like somewhat of a loop. No, it is a loop, right? You end similar to where you finish. And so, you know, the reason that people race there is just because you know that if you're in a, you know, whatever your pace group is, there's going to be a lot of people for you to run with. And so people that are normally like, well, in my hometown race, like there's only like 6 people in my pace group, and by the half, like there's like one, I'm running with the pacer by myself, or sometimes like there isn't a pace group for me. That's why people go to CIM. That, and it's like easy to get to, easy to navigate around like the entire weekend. Like it's not like New York where like you have to leave to go get into your corral an hour before gun time. You know, I was on the bus, the race starts at 7. I was on the bus till about 6:15. I went to the bathroom and then stood in the corral for half an hour. I didn't have to, but I did, you know, so, and it was nice and easy, not far, not a lot of movement. So, yeah, so that's why people choose CIM. It's not the most scenic, but the people that you're racing with, that's the race. That's what you go for. Dominic Smirnowski says, I had the impulse to stop for a red traffic light during my first marathon. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Adam wants to know, any idea when Under Armour were releasing the new super shoe, like what Katie was sharing more in New York? I don't know. I don't know. Is it out? I thought that's what they had, like, because Believe in the Run did a thing with local non-elites in Baltimore for the Baltimore Marathon, and I thought they ran in the shoe. So I thought that at this point it was out. I guess I could be wrong. I haven't looked. I should take a look at it, though. It's probably, I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling that she can run in anything. But, yeah. What's funny, speaking of shoes, though, is that, like, people have been sending me, like, snapshots of runners that apparently were running in Alpha Fly 3s. Apparently there was a lot of Alpha Fly 3s. And they were, like, taped up and stuff. Like there was like white tape over the AirPod, the Zoom AirPod in the front. People keep sending me pictures of it, and I'm like, I think this is interesting, but I don't leak photos. If someone posts like a photo of themselves in a shoe, then I'll be like, look at that. I put the little magnifying glass on it in the Instagram stories because I think it's funny because it's like spotted, But it's like if it's someone I don't know, then I won't do that. Maybe I would. I don't know. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, I guess. So it's not weird that they sent it to me, but a lot of people have been sending them to me. All right, let me scroll down and catch up with you guys in chat. I'm really far behind you guys. Richard Wilson says, I was in the porta potty when the gun went. Thank goodness for chip time. That's so were you like, did you have to like cut, were you cutting through a lot of people, or were you just like, I'll wait till it spaces out a little bit? Man. Martha says, another reason for CIM, anyone can get in if you register in time, and more Carthusians are gathering there. Yeah, I mean, that is another thing, is like you can just get it. You don't have to like get in a lottery. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to raise money for charity to do it if you don't want to. You could just buy a bib. Same thing with grandmas. As long as you just decide early enough, and it's not like you got to decide like this week. A couple months out, about the time then you might need to start training for it, you could still get a bib for that race and for grandmas. At least now. That may change in a couple of years, but at least now you can. And it does seem like a lot of people are from the live stream are gathering there. So next year, I think I'm definitely going to go next year. Well, I mean, I say definitely, but I mean, who knows? But my plan currently, because I don't have anything like booked, but my plan is to, and this is the tentative plan, I may flip it around. I may attend TRE and then just spectate CIM and maybe put on a bunch of events for people, like something to hang out afterwards or do a meet and greet before or something like that. I don't know. Do a shakeout run, all those kinds of things. That's one plan. Or the other plan might be to skip TRE. Because I don't know, I had a lot of fun, but it was a stressful way of having fun. And then maybe race CIM. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll depend if it's the US Marathon Championships again. Because then maybe I'd want to do something else. But if it's not the Marathon Championships, or depending on who's racing, from the elite side, maybe I would or wouldn't want to. But either way, the plan is to be in California for CIM. It's a great time to be out there on the West Coast. And Martha says, and there's the relay option. Yeah. Richard Wilson said he comes out of the bathroom when the gun goes off while he's in the porta potty, and you only had to chase your pace group for 3 miles. You must have been moving, but because you found it after 3 miles. That's fast. That's soon. That's very soon. Scott says, I am already registered for 2023. Nice. Hafiz Hero says, hi, Kofuzi. Big fans from Malaysia. Welcome, dude. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Jody Beck says, shoot question, what would you recommend for racing a fast 5K? For me, that's the Takumi Sen. I love that shoe. It's basically like Adios Pro, but for that 5K. So it's a little bit lower stack height, but you're still getting like that just aggressive feeling in a good way of that super shoe. So I really like that one. I'm trying to think what else would be in that category. That I don't know. Nothing is close to me in my mind. I haven't tested a lot of 5K shoes last year, but that's the one that I would pick. And I think you can get it pretty cheap now. So there's no like cost reason, I think, to avoid it. But yeah. Mark Peterson says, for the Boston video, just call it something else, a code perhaps, so they can't search for it. That's so funny. It'll be like with Michael Scott with the, what was it? Like, he had written that fake novel and had written Dwigged instead of Dwight. And then when he did the find and replace, there was still a Dwight name in the script. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? Or am I just rambling? So we'll call it something else. Yeah, we'll just call it a random race on Monday, a Monday race 2023. Maybe we'll do that. Do you think that'll work? I don't think that'll work. I think that they'll find it. I think that what's going to happen is some grumpy dude who thinks that the Boston Marathon is for serious runners only and doesn't appreciate a guy running like, because I'm not going to run it super hard because I'll have run Tokyo like a month before. So like, I'll be running 310 to maybe 320, something like that. So I know that there's going to be a guy that's like upset that there's someone that looks like me. That's going to be part of it, to be honest. And is running around with a selfie stick and smiling and giving high fives during Boston when he's like, and it's probably going to be he, is working hard and like trying to be serious and like access the pain cave. And then that person will complain. And that's how they'll find it. Doesn't matter what I call it. That's how it'll work. Bernard says, any plans to go to the Austin Marathon? Here's the thing with the Austin Marathon. It's so hilly. I don't want to ever run it. It's one of the hillier marathons out there, isn't it? That's what I thought. I was actually in town not the last time, but the time before last, I was in Austin for work, like my other work. And it happened to be the same weekend as the Austin Marathon. And I'm like, I should have just signed up for this marathon and run it. Yeah. And then I ended up watching a lot of the race with Jamie. So that was fun. That was a good week. Will says, I'm going to take CIM after I graduate law school and move back to California. Right now, it's impossible to do with the finals 2024. There you go. Yeah, that'd be tough because it's like right during like reading week, right? So, or maybe during finals. So I would concede that is tough. All right. Sandra Lee says, I registered for 2023 CIM, but I couldn't run 2022 because of a COVID test. Oh, sorry about that. But we'll see you out there next year. Or I'll see you in Boston 2023. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Sean says, Kavuzi, it'll be like when Jack Semple tried to push Catherine Switzer off the course. There'll be a bunch of grumpy dudes. You know what? There are times where I'm like, I don't know. I think that like every time I see, there's certain races where, like at the end of Chicago, for example, they keep an eye out and they look for bibs to make sure that no one that doesn't have a bib doesn't cross the finish line. I suppose it's a big security reason too, because that's a controlled area in that finish area. But they do that. And every time I'm coming through, I'm always like certain that they're going to be like, sir, you have to stop. But that point in Chicago, it's right before Mount Roosevelt. It's a really wide intersection there. And so the crowd's like all the way over here and like the inside of the turn's all the way over here. And most people just take the tangent and then they run up the hill. And the dudes that are like picking people off the course are always right there. And I'm in my mind, I already have it set up. And they'll probably catch me later before I get to it because I'm sure they're not the only line. But I think it'd be really funny if on a video, they're like trying to get me off the course and I just run all the way around and do that thing. So I've thought about it. But I do get nervous sometimes because I'm breaking rules. That's very clear. And they would be in the right to try and get me to get off the course. That's just a part of what I do and the way I do, I guess. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we got here. Matthias wants to know, what are we talking about here? What's the question? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just rambling. Otto wants to know, has anyone done the San Diego half or full marathon in the past? How good is it? That sounds like a great place to run a marathon. Matthias says he's done it. Finished at Petco a few years ago. I have mixed feelings about races that finish in a stadium. Because I feel like that sounds great and all, but it usually means that you're running on a lot of really hard concrete at the end. And I don't know. It also means like it's not that scenic because it's like you have to go through a giant parking lot to get into the stadium. I don't know. I feel like it sounds better than it is a lot of times. But I guess I've never been to Petco Stadium, so maybe I'm wrong on that. Jody says, if you were disqualified from Boston and banned from future races, does that mean no 6 majors for you? That's what it would mean. And so we've talked about it before, that I was going to plan on doing Boston last. So that way, even if I'm disqualified later, I would already have gotten the medal, because you get the medal like right after you finish. Like there's like a person that's there, because you get like a lot of times they give you a special bib or something else you add on your bib. And when you finish, you get your regular medal, and then you go to like a separate spot, and there's another person. Like in New York this year, Dina Castor was giving out 6-star medals. Was it New York? I think was it New York or was it Berlin? It was at Berlin this year, I think. Yeah, Berlin, because she ran Berlin. So she ran Berlin. I think she like ran Berlin, took a shower, and came back, and then was giving out 6 stars. So that'll be it. So yeah, I got to hurry up and get it before I actually get disqualified. Because I have a feeling that they probably will. Whatever. That's all right. It's their race. They can do what they want. Frank says, though, big high school stadiums or Olympic stadiums are great finishes because they have a track. That's true. That would be nice. But like when I finish inside like the races that I do at Soldier Field, it's just like you run a bunch around Soldier Field, and it's just like super hard concrete, and it just always just doesn't feel great. Because stadiums, the scope of stadiums are such that like you could be running and running and running, and it doesn't feel like you moved anywhere. It's like running in the desert. You see the horizon, but you never get closer to it, so it just feels like you've been going forever. And then you have to go inside where it's dark to get through the tunnels to get to the stadium, and then it's like you're on a carpet, So that's not great. But other stadiums, not all stadiums are set up like that. Jong-an says, seen you twice now at the race, LANCIM. I found that you're much skinnier and taller in real life than in the video. Yeah, I get the widest variety of things when people see me. I get taller, shorter, bigger, and smaller. All of those at the same time. Sometimes it'll be like 2 people meeting me right away. Like if there's a bunch of people in line to get selfies, it'll be like right after each other. I'm like, that's funny because she just said I'm taller in real life than she thought. Pirate Pile says, have you ever thought about running the Dopey Challenge in Walt Disney World? I have. Here's the thing. I don't love running at Disney World. I've run at Disney World just like because I was there on vacation. We did a cruise, and like we did a day at Disney World, or 2 days, 1 day, I think. And then I think it was 2 days. And then we drove to wherever it was to get on the boat for a Disney cruise. And like I ran around just trying to figure out where can I run? Where can I get like 6-8 miles in? And that is like a lot of the route. It's like through the resort, and then you can kind of like get to all the parking lots of all the theme parks and stuff. And it just wasn't great scenery wise, and those races fill up fast, really fast. You got to get in there quick. I don't think that's the point where they have the lottery, but you got to get in there fast to get in there. And so it's like I never know like my family's plans that far ahead. So I'd like to do it, but if I did it, I'd want to do it as the challenge, but just because I think that'd be fun. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. Louis says, when he did the San Diego Rock and Roll Half, it just goes on neighborhoods and it's a mostly downhill race. Oh, yeah? Because I feel like San Diego could be hilly. But that sounds nice. Mostly downhill. You got my attention. Will says, the other thing about Carlsbad versus San Diego is that Carlsbad is right along the ocean the whole way. Very scenic. Does it get windy, though? That'd be my concern. Anytime someone says like it's by the water or by the ocean, I'm like, it means it might be windy. I have a cousin that lives out in Carlsbad. I haven't been there in a while. Sandra says, Seoul International Marathon is now a lottery system. March 19th, 2023. You probably cannot do to Tokyo, but I want to run Seoul someday. You know what? My dad ran the Seoul Marathon a while ago. And one of my biggest regrets is that he was like, we should go. Let's do it together. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm good. I didn't even really think about it, because we had run Baltimore together. And then I think it was like 2 years later, he was like, I'm going to run the Seoul Marathon. We should train and run together. I'm like, I'll do a long run with you, but I'm not going to go over there for a race. And I regret that I didn't do that. Frank says, I thought Cole was referenced standard 5'9". I'm 5'10". And change if I'm going to be very specific. But yeah, I'm pretty average. I'm 100% average. like average chest size, arm length, average foot size 9. Although I don't think that's average foot size, but it's reference size. So like I'm the size of a mannequin, like a rack. Whatever comes off the rack, that's the size I am. Scott says, if you run since CIM, I'm itching to go outside. I really want to run today, but I'm feeling a bit under the weather. So I'm going to give myself another day to rest. It's really nice out today. And tomorrow it's going to rain and get nasty. So I'm like, today would be the day. So yeah, but I think, I'm not in a rush. I think I'm going to really get after it for Tokyo. So there's time. Terrence was going on and says, Ko is certainly quite a bit taller than 5'9". Maybe a little bit, only like an inch. Leroy McCoy says, Ko, when you passed me at New York City, I too thought you were taller in person. That's funny. Shannon says, I'm always shocked when Ko claims he's 5'10". He seems taller in real life. Well, I do like the Max Cushion and the Super Stack shoes. So that's probably what it is. I've got an extra 40 millimeters in height. So 5'10" plus 40 millimeters, whatever that is. Is that an inch? Yeah, that's an inch. So like 5'11". Almost 6 feet, I guess, depending on the shoe. All right, I think that's going to be a good place to leave it for today, guys. I don't think that the race recap video will be out tomorrow. So I think the next time I see you guys will be at another live stream. Same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And in the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.